welcome to the Economic Times CXO Connect series powered by Microsoft. I'm your host Deepthi Diwan and I welcome you to today's discussion on New Age CHROs, building an organization of the future. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way organizations function today. Some of the significant changes include a hybrid working model, supportive work culture, and implementation of new technologies. Globally, human resource professionals play a key role in any business transformation to address the major alterations. Ever since the pandemic started, CHROs have had a lot to accomplish. There is additional responsibility to ensure organizational growth with focus on people, process, and performance. Today, CHROs are seen as the visionaries and strategic advisors of innovative ideas to help maintain or recreate new company cultures that influence an organization's future. They constantly focus on improving company performance and ensuring employee satisfaction. Now, the top three priorities for any CHRO are recruitment, employee engagement, and learning and development. The task of a recruiter is to hire the right talent, ensure smooth boarding and training, and improving productivity through performance management. With a sudden shift to virtual hiring and recruiting process, corporates have started leveraging the power of artificial intelligence tools for remote screening, online assessment, and video interviewing. Likewise, HR professionals are using various tools to monitor employee attendance and performance of remote workers. Another key focus area for CHROs is employee engagement. Employees expect their leaders to be present for the team, especially during these unprecedented times. Thus, communicating on a human level is the best form of authenticity. It is important to listen and encourage employees to keep performing and help the company grow even under challenging circumstances. With effective strategies, constant employee training and development is needed for positive employee retention, training future leaders, and employee empowerment. So we are going to discuss all this and more. Stay tuned for the session coming up shortly. Well, we have with us today a panel of human resource experts from different sectors. We are very delighted to welcome Rajiv Sehdev, President and Group CHRO, JBM Group. A warm welcome to Shantanu Das, CHRO, Amway India. We welcome Satyajit Mohanty, Group CHRO, Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals. Welcome to Seema Singh, CFO and CHRO, India Post Payments Bank. Rajiv Menon, Strategic Advisor, Talview. We welcome Anirudh Nagodra, Co-founder and CEO, Factor. Srinivasa Bharti, MD and CEO, Adrenaline. And we welcome Naisal KM, Co-founder, Zwayam. And to moderate the session, we have with us Vikas Vats, founder of HR Association India, World HR Federation, HR Distinction Awards, and Vats Consulting. Welcome, Vikas. And with that power-packed panel, it sure is going to be a well-rounded discussion. With that, I now hand over to you, Vikas.
Thank you very much, Deepthi. And very good morning to all my fellow panel members, audience, and especially the organizing team that has come up with such a discerning panel. I'm sure that for me, putting up a riveting session would be like shooting the fish in the barrel. So our topic, we started our topic, that is building the organization of the future. So when we talk about building an organization for the future, we in fact are talking about three pillars on which the organizations, successful organizations are built. They are people, process, and technology. We all are aware of them. So let's start with the first one, the people. There are many processes in HR related to people, And I reckon I can safely say that the first one is acquisition, from where everything starts, talent acquisition. And during this process, HR teams face plethora of challenges. In terms of metrics, they can be like time to fill, time to hire, quality of hire, cost per hire, offer acceptance rate, selection ratio, and dozens more. And especially post-pandemic, these challenges are only burgeoning. So I would like to hear from our CHROs present here that what are the major challenges which you are facing in your respective organizations. So I think I can start with our CHROs here. And Mr. Rajiv, can I have your view on this, please?
So, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Vikas Watts. There are two Rajiv, so next time maybe you can have more pointed whether it is Rajiv Sehdev or Menon. So anyway, I take the liberty of starting. So basically, I start. There are three phases in this entire journey. So the phase one is pre-pandemic, then during the pandemic, where we had a lot of issues on safety, health, working conditions, social distancing, maintaining your organization running. Then it was people-centric, providing directions, confidence, resilience, and having close years and some facilitation on work from home. But there are numerous other things. But now it is like post-pandemic, the things are really changing because our economy is growing at a very, very fast pace. So one of the major challenges when the organization are static or when they are growing. So there are two kind of challenges. And the organization which are growing is one, they have to acquire new talent. Like we are growing at a very rapid pace and we are supposed to acquire new talent. But attrition has also become a very big problem because the offer rollouts at this point in time is probably the highest. So not only we have to look at the talent acquisition, but how you can retain your existing talent. That is a real thing. That is the test of the time and how you are leading the organization, whether people have confidence. Are you taking care well? The second big thing is there is a lot of cost pressure. So zero-based budgeting has become the norm of the day. And unless you are understanding business, not only the people, unless the CHROs are understanding business, you would not know which game you are playing and which field you are playing. So I think from other challenges where people are looking forward as part of the retention only for their growth, for their learning, how they are being taken care on the compensation. So you have to do all that, and not only this, you have to really work on the policies of the organization. And most important thing, which all CHROs, they should keep their ears to the ground and listen to what is happening in the organization, what are the challenges emerging. I think to begin with, I'll have these few thoughts and we can go and hear my rest of my panel members. So.
Yeah, very well said, Mr. Sadev, especially the retention part. Identification, retention, and development of especially the high potentials. As we know that in an organization, even among the high performance, only 2 or 3% can be the high potential. So how do you identify and then retain? So that is, of course, a challenge for the organization. So the same question, now I'd like to have the perspective from Ms. Seema Singh. And she is because also CFO apart from CHRO. So let's have this different perspective because you also mentioned about the cost part. So how do we manage that cost part as well?
If I just a little brief background on the bank's way of model of this bank is not like normal banks. Our workforce is almost 200,000 postmen and Grameen Dak Sevaks, the rural postmen who go to the fields and they deliver the banking services. And we've got a bunch of officers, roughly around 2,000, who manage and help these Grameen Dak Sevaks to render the banking services. So during the pandemic, my biggest challenge was we did not have the privilege of work from home because we come into the essential services. And that at that point in time, there was also a big challenge of, when people were not able to step out of the houses, then these Gramin Dak Sevaks and the officers were going to the doorstep of the people and delivering the banking services. Now, the problem was during the pandemic and especially the second wave, we lost many lives as far as the postmen were concerned. So my officers and the people who were working with them had a very, very depressed mood. And to keep their morale up, it was a very big challenge. Despite the tragedies which were happening across the country, we had to still keep on working. And then the second challenge, which was, since normal products are to open the accounts and withdrawals and deposits, but at that point in time, the challenges were to come out with certain facilities where people did not have to step out of the house. That is called Aadhaar enabled payment system, which is a biometric driven thing, and it is an Aadhaar enabled transaction. So immediately I had to train all these 200,000 people on that particular product so that they can go. And the second product was to the pensioners and the people who are drawing pensions from different scales, whether it is state government, central government, railways, defense, to get these life certificates which are supposed to be given in November, to train my people to go to the doorstep of the pensioners and to deliver that service. By giving these services at doorstep, the challenge was to train them on how to have that social distancing as well, and also maintain the safety measures, how to sanitize the machine, because it was a biometric thing. People across the country and world had stopped these biometric things. But my challenge was to keep the safety in place for the people who were delivering these services. So these were the biggest challenges which I faced during the pandemic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Seemaji. You touched upon a lot of important points, and especially I liked, and I think this would have been a challenge for you, that was related to keeping the morale up, especially when they lose their life. And I also like to understand from you how you kept them engaged during this time. But yeah, we'll come back. I'll come back to you on this in the next rounds. We have some question. I have some question related to keeping them engaged as well. So I think in that round, it will be interesting talking to you again. And now again, facing the challenges in talent acquisition. So let's go to Shantanu Dasi, CHRO MWay. Let's have his perspective.
Thank you. And is your question specific to talent acquisition? Am I getting it right?
Right. So what challenges in your organization you face related to acquiring that right talent for you?
Yeah. So I don't think, in my personal view, I don't think the talent acquisition has anything to do with the post-pandemic era. It is to do with the need of the business, which has evolved and which is shaping in a different dimension, right? And with different requirements, which is leading to a new kind of a skill set that is bringing that need the business needs for the business to grow. Now, that acquisition, that new skill set, so the earlier erstwhile profile of a sales head and the current profile of a sales head may be significantly different, right? And it is, one part could be technology, one part could be the digital part, but it is just not that. The whole world, the environment, the business environment is changing so dramatically. The business world is getting different paradigms. The paradigms are shifting so dramatically. The new skill set that is being required is actually what brings a challenge to what that is that available. And if that is not available, then how do we groom it and how do we give it within our own employees is a great opportunity, if you ask me. So as far as and specific to the current environment, I think there is one more which is very important, and it's a very different point. Is essentially the people who are the 46%, or maybe 46% is the last data that I see, that of job seekers look at the culture of a company. So the paradigm, the shift to from a salary or a role to culture has become hugely important post pandemic. Now that is where, it's when you are talking of this, and this is not that easy. It's not a low hanging fruit, because the culture of a company takes time. The culture of a company takes its shape, and that kind of the ability for a candidate to say no to a company because of the culture that he or she has concluded this company has is actually a new set of challenge or a perspective that a company has to look at. Build a culture for a person to join that culture. It is no more a role. It is no more a salary. This huge dimension of company culture as an embracing factor has become a new piece, a new dimension post pandemic. I can add a
Yeah.
little more, but I'm happy to.
Very well said, Shantanu. Because culture, I think, is the this differentiating factor these days. Because I started with that there are three pillars of the organization: people, process, and technology. People, of course, you can hire, you can train them. Processes you can get implemented if you have money. Technology also you can buy. But culture, as you rightly said, it takes time to build. It takes commitment. And now even the employees, they are wise enough to consider the culture as well. So that I think now gives any organization the competitive advantage. Very well said. Very different perspective. I'm sure the audience will get benefited with different perspectives, and also to the audience. I'm sure you know that if you have any question to any of the panel members here, you can also put that in the system, and that will eventually come to us. And now, Satyajit Mohanteji. So his company deals in consumer electricals, and how the pandemic has affected their hiring process or retention and development process, especially the acquisition process. Like to understand from him.
I would reflect back what my colleagues Rajiv, Seema, and Shantanu spoke about the emerging trends in hiring, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
There are two aspects of hiring which I'd like to talk about. One which has not really undergone a change as a part of pandemic, and one has undergone a significant change as part of pandemic. The first one is what Shantanu spoke about. How do we continuously reassess the context of the role for which we are hiring for? Many times we realize, as you rightly said, the sales head, what used to be the ways to operate 2 years back, and this way a sales head is expected to operate right now will be very different. That is what the context. So this is one big thing which you have to continuously keep in mind while hiring for the new set of people. That is one, but any context change always makes it a challenging thing to hire. So that is one part of thing which I don't think it is really changed as a part of pandemic. The part which I see in consumer goods changing a lot is best illustrated by a recent conversation I had with one of the leading search firms. It's one of the multinational search firms. Like, you have the ones which are very expensive. We do only CXO level hirings. So we do hire a lot of CXO level positions. So I approached one of the consultant. Two of them actually declined to participate in the hiring process. And I'm talking about a flat fee of anywhere to 35 to 40 lakhs per hire, that kind of levels. Mm-hmm. The reason they said is we do not have the bandwidth to go for hiring. When I dug a bit deeper, what I realized is because of the pandemic, a lot of the companies, especially the consumer goods sector, they had put a lot of hiring plans in freeze. And right now, everybody is hiring as if it should have been done yesterday. That is also reflected in the number of offer backouts which you are seeing in the consumer goods sector. Rajiv probably his style view, so I'm sure he would have a very, very good functional perspective on this. Rajiv Menon, I'm talking about. In some of the regions and areas, our offer backout rate is as high as 15 to 20%. In earlier case, I would hardly think of any offer backout because we are a company which is a good brand name, which is doing well, we pay decently, and all those stuff is there. Some of the sectors we are experiencing as high as a 15 to 20% offer backout rate because of the two factors. If I combine what data I see in terms of offer backout rates, and what I narrated my conversation with the leading search firms like on Ferry, Hydric Struggles and those kind of stuff, it tells us a different play which is emerging immediately post pandemic. So this would be two big things which is giving me sleepless nights. One is the perennial stuff, which is the context. Second is till the last moment, I never sure that whether the person is joining or not. And most companies, what I've realized they were not doing earlier is they are making counter offers. Earlier, many companies used to take this principle stance that when a person resigns, I'll never make a counter offer. When I was brought up the era, but now I see many companies taking a pragmatic view of the situation, are actually making counter offers and letting go the so-called HR principle that making a counter offer to a person resigned is bad for the business in the long run. So these are the two things I would like to highlight, Doctor.
Yeah, very well said. And I think we also face the same at HR Association India and What Consulting. We also observe the same, and especially in the technology. So we have observed in some technology IT fields, some people are even getting 2 to 3 times of their present salary, and they are getting offers after, and they are using that as a bait to the new potential employee. So this is happening, and as you said, because now organizations have done it yesterday. Okay, so now acquisition we have faced. Now I think we need to move to Mr. Solution. So for that we have Rajiv Menon here, and the strategic advisor tell you. And Rajiv, you have heard from all our CHROs what are the major issues they currently facing or they faced during the pandemic situation. So you are the technology solution provider. I'd like to hear from you that how you have helped and you are helping your clients with these challenges. And if it is not a big ask, can you give some case studies around this?
Sure.
Up to Rajiv.
Sure. Thank you. I think first of all, let me thank the organizers for putting me on this panel. And slightly lighthearted, Satyajit, I think welcome to the IT world is all I can say. Those problems that you spoke about, offer rejects, etc. The IT world has been facing for the last 10 years. I think the other sectors hadn't faced that. It was a little more comfortable, but right now I think even it's there all over. As on a serious note, as I see the points that each of the panelists raised, I can look at two things that are critically different. One is the fact that the demand is far outstripped supply, whether it is because of pent-up hiring or because the new pace of change, the technology that has come in, the demand is far outstripped supply. Now, because of that, there is a huge pressure on the talent system. And that's leading to all the problems of, counter pay, shopping of offers, blah, 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 all of those things, right? And from a solution perspective, I would rather want to talk about the solution in terms of the context that we are in rather than the technology alone part of it. Technology is always an enabler. So while the negative part is that the demand is far outstrips supply and we are struggling for talent, the positive part is that the pandemic has made many of us realize that for many roles, we don't need in-house staff to be deployed or in-location staff to be deployed. So remote staff, so which basically means that now you can cast your net much, much wider. You could have a much larger funnel right across the globe. And I take the case of a company that we helped in the recent past, a small boutique company, really. They were hiring for the CMO. They were constantly looking for the marketing based out of Kolkata. And they were just not getting the right person at all. Ultimately, they found the person from East Europe. Can you beat that? A CMO for a Kolkata-based company working out of East Europe. And this happened because they realized that remote looking at candidates is possible. And we enabled this on our platform right now. So this is just one example. But from what I see, there are three things that has changed. One is remote delivery of talent acquisition solutions. I think that's critical because your talent can be anywhere, anytime, anywhere. Second is how you deliver it, because if you say the only way I will hire a talent is if you come to my office and I'll sit across the table and talk to you, that will not work. Third, a great candidate experience. Candidates are extremely, to put in a very simple way, they have a plethora of choices, so they're not going to be focused on your choice for too long a period of time. Data says that good candidates are available in the system, not for more than 8 or 10 days. So therefore, you need to then finally come to the silver bullet that I'm talking about, which is the speed of hire. If you are able to increase the speed of hire with technology, And when I say speed of hire, all other factors included, quality get taken care of and stuff like that, then I think you are able to solve it. So at Talvi, what we have is an orchestration platform that allows you to hire extremely rapidly through cutting down of all mundane tasks, casting your net really wide right across the globe, and automating most of the recruitment process except the final part where a human is taking a decision on another human, which is the final interview process. Everything else is being automated, and it's made predictable because the final interview then comes with a huge amount of insights that is gathered from various earlier stages of the recruitment process itself. So that is what we do at Talview, and I think we've done this for very large corporations. We've done for boutique consulting firms, and given the positive time, I wouldn't obviously want to stretch this a little longer, but we have solutions that address the fact that we can do remote hiring, we can do it at scale, and we can do it very, very fast.
Yeah, wonderful, Rajiv, and thanks for helping so many organizations. I think I also need to touch base with you. So now when the acquisition is over, the next level challenges for organizations after acquisition is over, they come in terms of talent management. Once you have the talent, you need to manage them. And that would involve many other processes like retention, development, succession, engagement, PMS, and many other HR processes. So now I'd like to find out from our CHROs that what truly for them talent management means. And for this, may I start with Mr. Shantanu this time, because he touched upon in the last question, he touched upon the culture part. And when we see most of things being equal among the organizations, now culture can be the strategic advantage. So let's see his perspective on what talent management is for him.
Thank you. And just on a lighter note, this is a topic of new age CROs. Don't get too misread by my color of my hair. So anyway, so coming back to the topic, I just wanted to put a lighter note. So coming back to talent management, you see, I think the concept of talent management has nothing to do with pandemic. The talent management is how you live and how you energize and rejuvenate and make your talent productive. And so that I don't think has really it has to do with pandemic. So the definition of talent management would be the same. Yeah, the paradigms may have shifted, and I in my own view, it's I capture talent management in three broad buckets, and that is what I believe, and that is what we believe in Amway. So there are three broad buckets. One is live to serve. You make the talent and you manage and you ensure that the talent lives to serve the business, right? And then love to learn, where you develop, you build that ability and that environment for a person to develop capability and to learn and to take risk and challenges. What has got added as a dimension post-pandemic is lead with heart. I think that even the CEOs and even the business managers, leaders, when they talk about it, it's a real, it signifies the change. And this is the third paradigm, which is lead with heart, which is actually is equal, if not more than the both live to serve the business and love to learn. I think this is a huge change in my view. This is a paradigm change from the way it was pre-pandemic. This lead with heart, the point that I'm making. And the just one more point on talent management. You see, it would be very naive for us to say that we have got the hybrid working right. I mean, at least I can talk about myself. I don't think we have got it right, fully right. It is evolving, right? In this entire hybrid working, which is I think most of the organizations are espousing and most of the organizations are going through, I think there is a lot that is changing. In this entire hybrid, where you are not seeing partly in office, where you are seeing partly at home, where you are seeing all over the place in terms of in real sense employees are. How do you bring that bonding? How do you bring that culture of engagement in that hybrid form of working? Right? You do a training session, you see people on face, or you do a training session where people are on screen. Now you're in a hybrid, you have some people on screen, some people in front of you. This is a very tactical example, but I can go a little more. I mean, this whole dimension of hybrid working is shaping up the new concept of talent management besides those three paradigms that I've referred to.
Yeah, lot of interesting points you have touched. Lead with a heart. So finally, we want human resource to be more humane, right? So yeah, here also we have started our journey from IQ to EQ, it seems. Okay, interesting. And also the culture thing again. And in culture, I mean, I usually say, I mean, big organizations like yours, all the CHROs here, big organizations I like sea, where waves are formed by big fishes and smaller ones just follow. So it becomes the cause of senior management, the C-suite people, that what kind of leadership, what kind of culture they are able to put, and they are able to walk the talk. Okay, interesting. And now after this, let me go to maybe again Mr. Rajiv, because he talked about Rajiv Sahadev, he talked about retention. And now we are talking about talent management, and where the identification, retention, development, all these parameters become utmost importance. So Rajiv, your views on this, or what all consists of talent management as per you, and how do you do it?
I think looking at the times, we have also changed our course during the process and made it a little more sharper and more involving. So before we made it, I would like to say that before we make any talent management strategy, we should understand business. The second is we should understand our competition. So where we would get the talent from and where we would lose the talent to. So if you understand these two things, then only you can make the talent strategy. So what are the business challenges? What are the immediate, short term, or the long term? So we actually did this exercise and we drew our talent strategy going forward. And then in the talent strategy, how we are going to attract, what would be our EVP, employee value proposition, how we are going to retain them, engage them, and motivate them. So what we had put the entire thing is we were doing reviews earlier also, but we have stopped those bandobast reviews of HR and we have brought into the talent reviews. So what is happening to the talent of the organization? In the HR, we have been reviewing all these past years, a little bit about the talent review, but more about the bandobast review or we were doing the postmortem of what attrition has happened, but what we are saying with this talent review is we are putting two things back to people. One is we are charting out the development plans for people and involving them in the process. In the backend process, what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on all the stakeholders which are there to manage their part well, whether it is HR or the HODs. They are so in case they are supposed to facilitate or mentor or do something, or the HR is supposed to conducting of assessment centers or the development workshops or making IDPs or reframing your PMS system to 9 blockers where not only the I say performance is past, but potential is you're talking about future. So we laid 50% importance to what is potential. So how the market is emerging, how your role is emerging. So if you do those things and you put your focus to the talent reviews instead of normal reviews, the rest of the things in the framework, the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will eventually happen. But if you are not doing the talent reviews, you may still be running, but you may lose out on the business, you may lose out on the market, and eventually the talent which is there in the organization. So this is what we have done in short. In a couple of minutes, I could only say this, but there is a whole big work which has gone and many months of actually deliberations and consolidation and taking thoughts of everyone and then going live with all these programs.
Yeah, very well said. You covered almost everything. I think ACs, DCs, IDPs, PMS. So I think for the audience, especially the HR people who are there in the audience, I think this you should take it as like a fastest MBA course for yourself. And especially, I like the fact that you touched the business word again in this question, like the previous one. And that is important. Unless we understand the business, the HR understands the business, in today's time, we actually cannot deliver value. And this is especially, I would request, maybe prescribe to the audience that please make note of it and start involving yourself in the business as well, apart from the bandobast HR, if I might say. Okay. Okay.
Not only
now
business, the competition also. The
competition also. Yeah.
Business and the competition. Yeah.
And the competition. Yeah, very right. So Satyajit, your take on this, the talent management part, how you have been doing this?
Shantanu spoke about leading with heart. Dr. Vikas spoke about the holistic approach to talent management, including PMS, including potential assessment, etc. Those are real-time challenges which, as a consumer goods industry representative, which used to face earlier and you continue to face. Like before, there are two things which has kind of changed as a result of pandemic. One is the enabler. One is I will not call, one is not an enabler. Let me put it like this. The one which is not an enabler is obviously what I spoke about is with everybody hiring like crazy. The urgency and the business relevance of talent management has come to the forefront like never before. How do we keep our star performers, good performers, etc., motivated, engaged, and delivered for the company? Of course, with the pandemic, there has been a different set of expectation which has been articulated, and every organization worth its salt has to live up to those expectations of employees. Which one of the stuff which that Shantanu spoke about, the hybrid model. One of the factors which is an enabler we have discovered is the pandemic has given us a lot of flexibility in terms of meeting employee aspiration with respect to mobility. Earlier, like any other company, you would have those kind of high performing talents which, because of various reasons, are not mobile across geographies, across let's say business, etc. So you have a classical case where a star performer doesn't want to move to city A to city B. But the manager insists that he moves to city B because that is the way of doing business. So while the employee aspiration has gone up from trying to operate in the new role out of city A, even the managers have become much more open to adopting a work from anywhere, work from anytime policy, which has become an enabler for talent management. So it has given us a lot of flexibility in terms of offering job rotation. That is what our entire talent management system hinges on, without disrupting their personal life and without disrupting the business efficiencies. Because right now, most of our processes are digital in nature. So you can actually do those processes and get the required business results operating from anywhere, operating from anytime. So these are the two factors which has contributed or impeded the talent management landscape, which is always a highly challenging one to begin with.
Right. If we had more time, I would have come back to you on this because to play devil's advocate role, because we were already devastated with and we were doing a lot of discussions and programs on work-life balance. But now after the pandemic, it's not about work-life balance. It has become work-life blending. So the situation has worsened. And when you now talk about anytime, anywhere, so okay, so maybe we'd like to have some perspective from employees also, if they are in the audience, that what they have to say on this, the relation of what we used to have work-life balance and now work-life blending, and when the organization expects you to work anytime from anywhere and all those things. So if there is any question, any viewpoint from the audience, please do put that in the system. Now, going back to the Seema, and she in the last question mentioned very interesting thing that is important, keeping the employees motivated, and I'm somehow stuck to that. So what in her perspective, and especially also because she has a lot of people. I remember, if I remember right, 200,000 people. So I am sure for her it would have been a real challenge. And how she solved this conundrum and how she worked this out, let's hear from her. Seema.
So just I agree to what Shantanu ji, Rajiv ji and Mr. Mohanty said. Uh, First thing what I did was, and we said we care. This was my motto of my department in corporate office, is that we care. And we ensure that we become not an arrogant HR and we become an approachable HR. So, generally people say HR people will not listen to us, and I will not. I mean, we don't believe in that, and we say every mail, every message has to be responded to, irrespective whether it is relevant or not. But you need to acknowledge the person who has given you a mail. Then what we did was just to keep the morale high, like I just said, because our model was different. We were into a nation building project of financial inclusion and helping the people at doorstep. I had to boost up the morale of my people at that time. And we started two portals. We called one portal as Navnirman and the other portal as the Nivaran. Now, there were challenges which people were facing in the field. I will not be able to even think of those challenges. And then they will put on that portal that this is my suggestion, let's do this thing like this, and this is how we can, this will make life a little more easier for us. And we got challenges from places like Leh to places like Tawang and to these in Chhattisgarh, and we got a lot of suggestions and we did implement most of them. And in Navnirman, we did a lot of, we got a lot of ideas from people, and we rewarded those people for doing good, giving us good suggestions as far as the business prospects are concerned, keeping the pandemic situation in mind, how can we improve our businesses. As far as the talent management is concerned, we also did a lot of support to the people who were suffering, and they actually, whenever they needed, if they, my WhatsApp is open for everyone. People can call me at any time. I get messages if they are blessed with a small baby, they'll send me a message, ma'am, we've been blessed with a baby, or somebody has done a cyclothon and won an award, he will send me the picture of that thing. So we have tried to build an open door, not only open door policy, a very, very approachable kind of environment where people can do. Like, approach us at any point in time. Now, I had some people who were underperforming, and there are people who outperform and some people underperforming. So we did a lot of mentoring thing, as somebody was saying right now. So we assigned a group of people to each top management people to talk to them, understand why they are not able to perform, why they are not able to give whatever is expected out of them. And we saw a lot of improvement when there was one-on-one interaction with them by our top management people. Third thing which we did was, and we recently concluded the first ever, because it's a startup, this was the first ever promotion process which got over. And the promotion gave a lot of boost to the people, that they are being rewarded for the good work they have done in the past. Ours was a startup. We did not have business numbers. We did not have data points. But, even to set up a bank was a big challenge. And we have now finished, and now there is a big upbeat in the field for the promotions, what we have done. I agree, we need to do continuous performance assessment. We need to make people that we are watching them and they need to perform. That message has to go, and this has gone. And we have ensured that people are trained as and when they require for the, if not possible, physically in the different training institutions. But we have done a lot of Knowledge Premier League was one thing which we started on different aspects of banking, where people started taking these modules, were given in a interesting manner, followed by quizzes, and then rewards for the people who were winning those quizzes. So these were small things like we did just to keep them engaged. I also did like a family day was celebrated, and like we called for children and wives and spouses of the employees to put forward the best talent they have, whether in singing or dancing, and we rewarded a lot of children with gifts from the bank side, and this gave a lot of in-group feeling in the bank, that in the employees, that the bank cares for them. We did virtual international yoga day, so that just to keep them And latest what we've done is a wellness program and a financial wellness program, both. Wellness as far as health and financial wellness program. We have started the series now, and we keep giving them online modules on such different aspects of health. So these are small initiatives which we have taken.
Right. Wonderful. I think we are getting a lot of interesting, useful, and result-oriented inputs from our discerning panel here. And I think we are almost ending the second round, and we have two more rounds, and we have already consumed, because seeking information takes time, we have already consumed 3/4 of the time. So I'd like to also request my fellow panel members that let's try to be a little more crisp if possible in the next rounds. And now, we discussed about talent management, and so let's have a different perspective here. That is a solution provider's perspective. With us, we have Nisal, and it's for you. I'd like to understand from you that what are the aspects which you believe are important for an organization from the talent management perspective, and how you and your organization are adding value into them.
Sure, Dr. Vikas, thank you. In fact, talent management as such, very wide spectrum, right? A lot of dimensions to that. And then, in my view, the journey starts at the very first touch point, even before employees are onboarded. And then, Shantanu talked about it. Culture is what is going to attract people, and culture is what is going to retain members also on board. So how are you going to get that mind share of talent, and how are you going to continue have that kind of a mind share with the members on board also, right? So two aspects. One, given the times that we have, where we have less and less of in-person connects, technology has to enable that deep level of an engagement. So we should have solutions, and we provide those kind of solutions to have that kind of a mind share right from the beginning of the candidate's journey and subsequently into their employment journey, right? Second, very important aspect, in fact, Rajiv touched upon it briefly from an EVP dimension, and that EVP has to get translated into talent branding, because it's very important for us to get that talent mind share. And it's very subtle, far reaching, and then that's where people will start relating to the organization. So we see a lot of CHROs, a lot of organization giving a lot of attention to talent branding as a strategy, and then getting that right. And that has to stem from their EVP dimensions and what kind of tenets that they have to keep it for EVP, because that's a complete journey from the very first touch point till they retire, right? So solutions towards that. Now, if you look at, automation is more of hygiene. It's no longer, everybody talks about AI and stuff. How do you apply technology, beyond this, and then really being able to enable organizations with some of these dimensions? I think that's where we are, now focusing on. Say, for instance, as an example, if I, as a recruiter, we know that every candidate has 2 or 3 offers before they make a decision. Right? It's not even the numbers that Shantanu was talking about. It is even to the lines of that 70%, 80% of offer declines is what we are hearing these days. And it has nothing to do with conventional sectors. It's even with these sought after unicorns, we are seeing that kind of an offer declines there, right? So the only way you can actually then win over is through these aspects of engagement, also enabling technology, right? Say, for instance, if I'm making an offer, if I have an idea that whether the candidate is going to join, that joining predictability, if I'm able to, then I can take more informed decisions. So with the larger, Naukri ecosystem with us, Zoyam is really focusing on some of these aspects, the next level of enabling. And then that's the focus here. And then back onto this point, and then I think Shantanu again mentioned about aspect of internal mobility. So when hiring is tough, you have to turn internal and make them step up, right? So we have solutions that also enables internal mobility. I mean, in the traditional context, it is only the IJP thing, but it is much more, right? Let's say if Rajiv or Seema or Shantanu wants to even have a view of what is my skill map at this point in time, how can I leverage better, and how can I provide the next level of career opportunities for those members on board, right? because it is no longer pay that is making a difference. It's really the engagement and the next level career growth. So I'll pause there, Dr. Vikas, and then we can reflect further.
Wonderful. Very well said. And as we know that in HR, we deal with lot of or maybe all of sensitive issues because they are related to people. So now let me touch the most sensitive issue of them all, that is the payroll. So though we all know that it is extremely important that the payroll has to be managed in the best way possible, in the timely manner, and so on. So I'd like to understand what's the perspective on the same from the HR leadership's perspective, from their standpoint, and how technology is enabling in this. So looking at the time as we are running late, instead of asking this question to all CHROs one by one, I'll throw it open to our CHRO panel here, all 4 of them. Let's see who all will like to answer this.
One is on this creating the employee experience. That is what and making it error-free. So there are 2 aspects on which we are working, and I think they are there. So one is deploying the technology, and the second is we have created the HR shared services because we are spread over 70 different places. And if you don't give the same employee experience to all the people, you may have sporadic instances at various places, and you may not be able to manage. So in the large organizations, the only way to manage and give the consistent employee experience is through technology and shared services. I think we can have others' view.
Yeah.
One point I want to share, payroll, Doc, is, I mean, that was outsourced long years back, right? So that's not something which, that most of the organizations probably would have done it long years back. But what I think one of the experience, we have a partner, we have a panelist from Adrenaline, right? So in fact, in this kind of working, one of the biggest technological piece that we got and with partnership with Adrenaline was to get the attendance on your phone, because you are on a hybrid and it works very well. So you actually, if you have to do clock your timing, and it's not about a statute, it's also about where you are and also safety, security, all aspects together. I think this entire time and attendance system on your phone at the click of your on your mobile, I think that's a huge technological advancement that we made on this aspect of operational stuff that we are referring to.
Dr. Watts, may I share an interesting experience we had? Payroll, classically, since the time I started my career, is seen as an administrative function with very little value addition to the life cycle, the motivation of employees. The last 2 years, payroll for us has become the biggest driver of employee engagement.
Wonderful.
For a simple reason is, we used to pay the salaries for the white collar around 28th, 29th of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue collar, classically the legal definition, all by 5th or 6th, which is depending because and our size we have to pay by 7th, right? Thanks to the efforts of my payroll team, we could bring forward the salary payment cycle from 29th, 28th to 23rd, 24th of the month.
Wow.
The blue collar cycle payment 1st or 2nd of the month. At a time when companies were cutting back on salaries, deferring payment of salaries, the positive impact on employee engagement of the so-called small improvement was outstanding. And the full credit go to my payroll team who thought of this idea. And this, I repeat, has been one of the biggest driver of employee engagement.
No doubt.
Because
no doubt.
Context. So-called, for me, so-called from administrative function, it has become a strategic contributor to a critical topic like employee engagement. Yeah. Of course, what Shantanu spoke about, automation, everything, automation, outsourcing, etc. They're all there. But this is how a so-called small improvement in a payroll process can drive something as strategic in employee engagement to a large extent.
I can correlate because when I started my career 25 years back as executive HR in some company, I was involved in payroll, and that organization, the salaries were distributed from 10th to 15th. Everything was manual that time. And somehow my director, he met me somewhere in the plant and he asked, no computers. I said, no. And then I thought, and I learned Excel. And just using Excel at that time, it was a big thing. We were able to bring it down to third of every month. And as you said, we could see that motivation and engagement among the employees that when they get it timely. And I think technology can play a lot of good role into this. And for that, now I like to move to Srinivas. That how, because he's from this field, Adrenaline, that how technology can help in managing payroll and convert payroll into a smart payroll, and as we just discussed, bring in even other components like engagement. Up to you, Srinivas.
Morning. Thank you for this. By the way, I think it's a great time now because Adrenaline now completes almost 20 years of being a pioneer in this space in India. This month, we are finishing the enabling, HR functions from a technology perspective. From a perspective, I think if we have to sum it up, I think this is where the rubber hits the road, right? Which is where the employees actually feel the outcome of whatever their work is being rewarded. I would like to say three things that we consider are important when we actually design the payroll engine, the payroll system. The accuracy of the payroll obviously takes first top priority. Compliance comes in next, and transparency today. In a way, I'm calling this transparency because being transparent about the various compensation elements to the employee becomes very key. And the technology that we have built obviously brings into consideration these three together, and that's why I think where the most important thing is. The fourth thing that we look at is, are we able to do what is in design thinking terms and TOC terms called OTIF, right? We look at a lot of problems and say, is it on time in full? And that's very important. So the OTIF philosophy is ensuring payroll is made available on time in full, and with accuracy is what as a solution provider we focus on. The payroll in a way actually brings in three aspects, right? The CHRO is involved, the CFO is involved because he needs to know what is the payout that is actually coming up month, and the employee is involved because that the person knows what is what are the components, how is he getting paid, is he being accurate for the time that he or she has put in. And so the idea of these ensuring that accuracy, compliance, and transparency in terms of employee engagement is possible through technology has been the focus for us.
Right.
And going forward, I think we are building AI-driven tools that could help the employees query stuff that they would like to know at an instant using the mobile. People do understand a lot of things that they would like to understand over a period of time as to where they are from a their income perspective versus their commitments perspective, their outstandings if there are loans and whatnot, right? I think that's our focus from our as a solution provider in this space.
Right. Wonderful. Very well said.
Dr. Watts, I have one input for a couple of seconds. The future forward of payroll is total reward function. So,
right, no doubt,
which is coming into play very significantly because you must know business, you're benchmarking. Then for different segments of workforce, we are creating the kind of compensation, which is total rewards. So the future forward of payroll function is the total rewards. I think the HR cannot lose sight of the total reward function. Although this is very essential part of what has been spoken till now, managing of attendance, people should know their entire thing, transparency, and what has been shared by Mr. Srinivas, all are important. But
Very
I
well.
just wanted to highlight this total reward function.
So that is important. And ultimately, whatever we do, our ultimate objective, scientifically, if I have to say, is keeping the serotonin and dopamine level high at right time for the employees, giving them the kick. So, and that leads me to the engagement, because that's what we do through engagement. And as we know, these days, HR professionals love to measure almost everything, because if it is not, we believe if it is not measured, it's not done. So we try to measure almost everything we do using different metrics. And I think we have probably over 100 of them. And in my opinion, one of the most important HR metric is related to employee engagement. And why I say for me this is the most important, because this creates a ripple effect. This impacts dozens of other HR metrics. Because as we know, highly engaged employees, that leads to a lot of different things in the organization. For example, 37% less absenteeism and employee turnover, 48% less fewer safety incidents, 41% fewer product effects, 21% higher productivity, and 22% higher profitability. We know all this, and yet researches show that 50% of our employees on average are not engaged. Only 30% are engaged and 20% are actively disengaged. So the next question is related to this, that due to pandemic, a lot of things have happened, and a lot of negativities were there. So like to understand from a panel member, and especially now I'll come back to Seema, as I said, when we were discussing about engaging those 200,000 people, that how you people kept your employees engaged, and were there any special benefits, as you also mentioned about total reward, was there any special benefits, or what did you do to keep them engaged? So like to start with Seema, please.
So we being the public sector entity, we cannot have anything unusual other than the industry practices. But yes, we did engage people. There were some rewards and recognition things which were happening at the time for the people who were doing good job, challenging, and even putting their lives in danger. They were rewarded. They were recognized. Then we started, and then they were brought to Delhi when the things got settled, and they were rewarded by the minister himself. These were small gestures which we wanted to thank them for the good work they had given at that point in time. Then we had a small hazard allowance kind of thing. We got approved for all our people. We also gave them from the office here, we got the kits made with sanitizers and tissue papers and cotton balls and everything, so that they are given to each one of them for that, so that when they are going to the field, they should be using all those things. Then we also, as I said, we have a learning management system which is accessible to all employees, whether my employees 2,000 people or 200,000 Grameen Dak Sevaks, which is in 13 regional languages. And there we started putting in a lot of simulations and gamifications on for them to learn new things which are happening, and also giving them knowledge on how to save themselves. So that learning management system came as a big help for all of us to tell them what they should be doing to protect themselves. So these, and as I said, we did a talent hunt also. We have a portal where we will keep on posting the good talent which we have, whether in the family members or in the Grameen Dak Sevaks or the postmen. So then we also distributed T-shirts and sling bags to the people who did good job at that time. So since the number is huge, our budgets are limited, but whatever best possible we could do, we did that.
Yeah, interesting thing. Normally, or you used LMS for engagement. Normally, organizations need engagement to make the LMS a success. So that's interesting. Okay, anybody else like to say something on this from our CHROs?
So again, I may not be becoming overwhelming, but I want to give. We understood that during pandemic that employees are not working individually in the organization, but they have a family too, which is influencing most of their decisions. So we initiated a program which is called Sankalp Siddhi, which is on all 6 aspects of life on Paul J. Myers. So we created 6 different groups, whether it is financial career, mental well-being, physical health, spiritual, family, home, social culture. And because it was online thing which was happening, and we appointed happiness and wellness coach Acharya Mukesh. So we made sure that whenever we are doing, we did lot of programs, lot of means lot of programs, and we never restricted it to employees. We said that their children, their parents, or their spouses can participate in this. And 8,000 of the circles which we received were from the family members, and we helped them through this focus 6 groups, and we conducted programs. So we must recognize that employee is not in just one person who is working, but there is a family behind. And anything which is there, negative or positive, will impact the work life. So in case we are charting out the program, we must keep that aspect in mind now, post-pandemic, that there is a family which is supporting or making the decisions happen. So that's all. Thank you.
Good approach. And whatever inputs the employee is getting from the family about the organization old age, that is important. So once you convert the family members as your brand ambassador, as your organization's ambassadors, so nothing will motivate employee more than that. And looking at this engagement, importance of engagement at HR Association India, we also came up with some tool to help organizations assess the engagement levels of their employees and help them in that way. So, and you would like to say anything on this, or should I move ahead?
I just have one point, one, this is, I mean, you once burned, twice shy, right? So we had, all of us went through a lot of trauma during the COVID times, right? With supporting families, etc. Doctors were not available, hospitals were not, so on, So while the one piece, I just want to park this, and it may help the audience as well as the panelists, at least from my experience, what we realized is that how do you build sustainable employee assistance programs, wherein we revamped our entire medical assistance program for our employees and their families, and that is going to stay for life, in terms of doctors on panel, in terms of consultation on online, in terms of getting medicines, in terms of getting that entire medical front. Is absolutely now completely on a ready-made mode, and it is just not about pandemic. At any point of time, we have got that right, and that is one of the biggest opportunity that we had and learned from the pandemic times.
Thank you. A lot of interesting things we have done to keep our employees engaged. And Anirudh, as you support the organizations in keeping their employees engaged, would like to understand from you that what are the various means which your clients have used with your help, and how you, your organization, and the technology has helped them.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas, for inviting me. On this employee engagement, when we look at our customers, they used various tools and platform for making their employees engaged. Like for example, as we initially discussed, start from marking attendance through remote capturing the attendance through geofencing and through mobile app, right? Which it was biggest resistance among the employees because they don't wanted to use biometric machine as it was being used. So one hesitation, right, which was among the employee, that they don't want to touch a machine which was being used by someone else, right? So that was the first thing that many organizations we have observed in our customer who were not previously allowing their employees to mark attendance through mobile started capturing attendance only through mobile. So that was the first change they have done. They have secondly started working on employee mood analysis, right? In Facto HR, there is a report called there is employee mood where employee can put their daily mood and the reason of the mood. So HR will have very handful data which can immediately able to identify which employees are engaged, who are sad. And during this time, as all of the panel member has said, it was how we talk with empathy as a leader, it was the most important part. So immediate discussion with the disengaged employee, addressing their listening their concerns and talking to them was very important. So whom to talk, because when there is a large organization, so if there is a such signs are available through platform, get these are the employees who are little bit disengaged or unengaged or unhappy in the organization, so that talking to them on time to time has also helped an organization very well. Third, they have used a survey and notification. So survey, they were collecting who are vaccinated, how their vaccination program is going on, who has taken first level of vaccination, second level of vaccination, and also capturing their travel history through the platform, right? So they, it will help them ki which while working from the office they need to allow which kind of employees, which employees still they need to do the follow up and ask them
Mm-hmm.
for the getting the final vaccination. So that also where one of the area which help them to find out ki keep the environment safe and hygiene. So this was the
Mm-hmm.
third area. Fourth was the continuous feedback through Facto HR. They were in continuously giving, and in through one-on-one meeting they were talking to their employees, giving them the feedback on their productivity and their any issues they were facing, and recording them on the platform, so which help employee also to improve. Because many a time what happens
Mm-hmm.
after that period is getting over and then HR start giving the feedback, "Okay, your performance was not there." Here
Right.
monthly review cycle or quarterly review cycle which help them to employees also work on and prepare their training plans based on the any findings as a leader they have, which
Right.
also has helped an organization very big way to make it there. And all other first level HR policy on chatbot, any queries, any medical policies on the chatbot, contact numbers available on the immediately on the mobile app. So all those medical health support related to policies as well as medical policies were available, which also helped organizations to keep continuously engaged with the HR leaders. So that's
Right.
how the features and benefits they have leveraged
Mm-hmm.
through platform to make or engagement with their employee on time to time.
Yeah, wonderful. And I like that thing that giving the timely feedback, because I usually say in most organizations, PMS actually becomes the performance mitigating system. So, so okay, I like to put end to this session with a rapid fire round, and this is based on a question we have received from the audience. We have received many questions, so I have selected this one because this can be put in a rapid fire round. So, this question we have received from Deepak Bharara, and this is objective type question. So I like to ask all four CHROs here and your answers in one word. So the question is, what is the single most challenge for CHROs in next 3 years? Hiring, engagement, or retention? I repeat, what is the single most challenge for CHROs in next 3 years? Hiring, engagement, retention. One word answer, please.
Hiring.
Retention.
Retention.
One more.
I think Mr. Mohanty has left.
Okay, so I'll go for engagement, because I said that metric impacts all other metrics. So if they are engaged, you have good culture, then both things will become easy for you. So okay, so this is good. Maybe we'll have some another round on this, maybe online or offline, and take it forward. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and Simaji, for being here and your inputs here. I like to hand back the system to Deepti now, and she can take it over and move to the next program. Thank you very much once again. Take
Thank you
good care
so
of
much.
yourself, panel and ours.
Thank you.
Thanks
you.
to the
Thank you.
organizing team.
Thank you.
Deepti, up to you.